You're cold, you're hungry, you're tired, and you look up, and that's the way out. Just this tiny little spot of light, 500 feet out of the ground. That's where I found myself many years ago. And don't worry, it turns out good because I'm standing here. And for the lawyer in the house, I hope the statutes of limitations have exceeded for trespassing, because I'm sure this was illegal. So I went to school at Michigan Tech, and not a lot to do around there, so I don't know why, but my friends and I got into the habit of exploring old mines. And then we actually thought we were kind of cool, because we would kind of keep score on which mines we knew and which other people knew. And if you were cool, we would tell you where our mine was and take you and we would scramble up these rock piles and find a hole, and we would just dive right in. And I think about it, actually, after I said this story last night, we were kind of nuts. I had this one friend who would actually go to the library, to the archives, and like pull out old annual reports from these mines from the 1800s and find, a map of some, mine. It's mine number 12 did so many ton, and mine number 6. And then we would take those maps and we'd overlay them with topographic maps of the day. And then we would actually go walking through the woods, middle of the woods, no roads, and we're like, walking, and we would find some hole and dive right in. And that particular one, I got the short straw, so I had to go last, right? And all my friends are going in first, we're all excited, and then but before I could get in there, they're all like running out, crawling out, and I'm like, what's up? Well, there's a porcupine in there. So, porcupine had moved in, we got around him the next weekend. And it just, I've been in some tight spots. I mean, I've been in one where, you have rock on your chest and your back, and you're going forward, and you can't kind of back up. And so you kind of just hoping that you can keep going until it gets wide enough that you can turn around and come back. And probably the best one was, we were in this one mine, and mines have a shaft which go vertically or near vertical along the vein, and then they dig these things called adits which go horizontally into the vein. And so my friend and Tom and I were on this adit, and it's pitched down a little bit, and mines are always filled with water at some point. And so we're walking along, and our ankles are getting wet because there's some water on the ground. And we're like, let's just keep going. And we keep going, and the water's up to your knees. Then I find myself taking stuff out of my pockets and putting it in my coat pocket. And I'm like, this water's like 40 degrees, right? So picture yourself now, it's a tunnel, it's dark, it's like a 5-foot ceiling. I'm crouched down. And I always carry a Coleman lantern with me, right? So I got to hold it up out of the water, because if I drop it, then it's total darkness, and it's freezing, right? And I'm walking through this thing, and then there's bats whizzing past your head because you're getting them all excited. We actually eventually kept going and climbed out, and we actually popped out on the other side of the hill. It's kind of interesting. Well, it was interesting because my friends had actually given up on us and gone out, and they were like walking around, and all of a sudden we popped our heads out, and they're like, whoa. Didn't have to go back through the water, though. So we're climbing on these cliffs one time, and I overhear these other guys, I don't know, these strangers, and they're talking about the Minnesota mine. I know about the Minnesota mine, but I don't know where it's at, and so I'm really intrigued. And we make friends with them, and they're like, yeah, we're going to go tomorrow, you want to go? And unbreaking Carver rule number 1 is never go climbing or hiking or do something dangerous with people you don't know. And so the next day I'm in their pickup truck, and we're going there, and they're fine, but they're a little more adventurous than me. We're like tying pieces of rope together, climbing down. We go down about 300 feet, and yeah, we survive all that, but that's not the story. I come back, and I, like a good son, I relay this whole story to my mother, and she's horrified, but she's used to it. And lo and behold, for Christmas, the next Christmas, and she also worked at an industrial supply company. For Christmas, I get 500 feet of brand new rope. And she's like, I can't stop him. All I can do is hope he's on a good rope. And I'm excited. This is like Christmas. I get back to school, it's now January, right, because it's after Christmas, and I can't wait. Now recall in the summertime, we just kind of walked through the woods or through this field. We walked up to the grate. We walked up to the grate and we went down to the shaft. I got my friends together, we got this new rope, and we drive over to the place, and I'd kind of forgotten that this is the UP in the wintertime and there's like 4 feet of snow. And so we are trudging through snow up to our waist, half mile or so to get to this grate. And this grate, luckily warm air comes out and it's, so there's, you can see the grate and it's easy to get to. And then the other cardinal rule I broke was, I was so excited I forgot to eat anything for the breakfast or in lunch. And so we go with our new rope, and I don't know if anybody's ever done any climbing, but this is kind of what it is. You clip this on your harness or whatever, and you would reach underneath and you tie on your rope, and there's a little underneath the one side was dug out, and so then you would clip this on, and then you would start going down. And so you want to picture like Batman and Robin on the side of a house, and so you're kind of just going down with one hand, you're just kind of using this as a brake, and it's actually kind of easy. Remember to tie a knot on the end of the rope. That's a good thing to remember. We go down 500 feet, right? And this is about 70-degree angle. This is the Minnesota mine. Actually, this mine was like the most productive mine in 1850 in the United States. This is what wired our country, actually. And they found this place because early explorers were walking through the woods there, and they just kind of stumbled on this 6-ton piece of copper just sitting on the ground. And they're like, ooh, this is a good place to dig. So this copper comes in a vein, right? So you picture kind of a wedge of copper-rich material in the rock, and so the shaft goes with it, and then they have these things called adits, and the adits go every 100 feet. So you go down 100 feet, you dig sideways, you go down 100 feet, and then at a certain level, they're called levels, you would, the miners would go sideways, and they would then dig up into the vein, and they would knock all this rock down into a wagon. They'd pull the wagon to the shaft, dump it into a bucket, and pull it out. They would do it with candlelight, which is amazing. And I'm actually told that when they were hitting the chisel, if they wanted to stop, they would put their thumb over the chisel. Anyway, so we go down, and we're just having the best time of our lives, because a lot of the mines we visited are visited by other people, and so there's not a lot of stuff around, everything's kind of picked over, but this is, like virgin territory. And we're finding boxes of dynamite, old boxes, pickaxes, shovels, and we're finding pieces of copper and these dolomite crystal or something like that. And so we would climb, we'd go sideways on these adits, we'd climb up these big rock piles on the ground, come down, grand old time for a couple hours. We get back to this, the first picture, and like I said, I'm like, it like hits me like a ton of bricks. I am like exhausted, and I'm wet from the snow coming in, and I'm freezing, I'm literally shivering, and I'm hungry, and I'm like, holy cow, we are like in trouble. And there's 3 of us. There's Rick, who's our good climber, Al, or me, who's an average climber, and Al, who's kind of our weakest climber. And so we come up with this plan that because there's adits every 100 feet, that the first guy would go 100 feet, get off the rope, next guy would do, and so we kind of leapfrogged our way up, because by the time the 3rd guy came up, the 1st guy was rested, and we can kind of leapfrog our way up. So we're on the 1st level, and we're about to come out, and things are looking good. And so Rick goes first. He's got a flashlight, and I can't remember if he's holding it somehow, and he's climbing. And he's the best climber, right? And so Al and I are standing in the attic. Picture this, right? So we're tired, we want to go home, and our best climbers going out, and all we hear is, God damn this, and cuss that. And he's just swearing up a storm, and we hear rocks falling, and it takes him forever to get out. And we're like, what's going on? Getting worried here. And so then I go, and I made this decision early on. When I would use flashlights, and they never were satisfied. Actually, one time I drove up to a mine, and I actually took the car battery out of my car, put put it on my back, and had a headlight, and used that for a flashlight. And that worked until I discovered that the battery acid ate away my coat. And then I quickly moved over to Coleman lanterns. Now, Coleman lanterns are really good because they're gas powered. They just kick out tons of light, last a long time. The only problem is that there's fire, and you gotta kind of hold it. So I'm the middle climber, right? I'm ready to go. And remember, going down was easy. It's Batman and Robbins. You're just kind of using a brake. You're going down. Going up, you got to climb. And so I needed 2 hands. So I unbuttoned my coat pocket, and I buttoned my lantern to my coat, like this. And I'm climbing up, right? And I get to the edge, and I discover the problem. So what happens is, in the wintertime in mine shafts, is you have this warm, moist air, because underground it's always like 40 or 50 degrees. And then you have the outside that's below 0. So right at the edge of the exit, or entrance, you get like this 8-foot collar of ice because of the condensation. And so Rick had come to the collar of ice and just couldn't figure out how to get past it. I am the god of sunshine, right? So I got this thing on my chest and I can see everything. And so I'm climbing and I can see that there's some rocks on the edge that aren't covered in ice. And so I kind of swing over to one side and I'm kind of climbing on these rocks on the edge until I lose my balance and fall back to the center of the shaft, smashing the lantern on my chest. And now I'm holding on with one hand, trying to put out a fire on my chest. And then the adrenaline really kicks in, and I'm out. I don't know how I did it, I'm out. And what I did mention is that before I left Al, I said, Al, let me take the free end of this rope and just loop it through your carabiner, and then when I get out, we'll just yank you out. And sure enough, I don't think his feet touched the ground. I mean, Rick and I were just pulling on that rope, and out he came. So it was a great adventure. I would do it again, except next time I think I'd bring a longer rope. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for coming out. It was marvelous having you here. It was marvelous sharing these stories with you. I just want to emphasize one last time, David Widmeyer. If you feel that you have a story to share, and we so believe that you do, I would welcome an email from you. You don't even necessarily need to know what the story, like what that story is. That's something that we can explore together. I would welcome that opportunity. So the email's on the back of your program. Again, thank you for coming out. We so appreciate it. We have about 10 minutes to clear out. Okay, good night, everybody.